It's mid-September. There's still time to sow seeds of perennials which will start to germinate this year, come up a little bit, and then that gives them a good start next year. This patch of the forest garden is shady, quite shady. It's one of our shadiest patches, and so we've been trying out different things, and some things have settled in of their own accord, which shows us that they're happy here.
Like what?
Well, something which is doing very well here is garlic chives, which is just starting to show now, and spreads very happily. So this is a good spot for that, but we don't really need any more of them because they're well established. We have tried to put Chinese artichokes in here, and although they haven't failed, they haven't spread. And we can compare them with another patch we put in a sunnier spot, which has formed a really good clump. So we know this isn't a particularly good place for them.
Okay.
We've also tried soapwort over here, that arching floppy thing. And there. And although again that hasn't failed, it hasn't spread. So we won't try any more of that. But what I would like to try in this spot is a herb called chervil, which used to be very much valued and apparently thrives in shade. So I'm just going to try scattering some seeds of it and see how they do, and if they do well, then that's a good thing to have in this patch. So
There's no other chervil this is our first chervil.
So this is the first
experiment.
chervil in the forest garden. This is chervil. And Thriscus cerifolium. Excuse me, that's my phone telling me to do something.
Herb of joy.
So it's not a widely used herb now, but it used to be very valued. So we've got about 400 organic seeds here, so we can afford just to scatter a couple of dozen and see how well they get on. And in spring we'll probably start some off in pots, just for comparison. The slight difficulty with sowing chervil is that it looks an awful lot like several other things which are growing here. It's got this sort of general cut, flat leaf look. So we'll have to make sure we learn to distinguish it from other things. But as we get familiar with things and as we get our eye in, we're getting good at that. So this is what the seeds look like. Just put those down safely where they're not going to fall over. They're actually quite large seeds, comparatively speaking. So let's just take a pinch of them. And this patch is one of the earliest that we mulched. So the mulch has now largely turned to soil. So we've got a nice fine tilt that we can sow in.
How long ago did you mulch this thing?
So this must have been probably about 2016, 17, I think, this patch, 2017 perhaps.
So about 3 years or so?
Yeah, yes. So although there's still a certain amount of the wood chip left, it's sitting on decent fine soil, which is what we find we get from no-dig preparation of the surface. So I'm just going to scatter them around, and then over the next few weeks see what we get. And
When would you expect to see something appearing?
Well, it says that they germinate in a couple of weeks, so that's what we'll hope for. But sometimes, germination can be erratic. I mean, it says that germination depends on temperature, and because it likes a cool location, it will probably germinate better if the temperature stays cool and we get some rain, which is what the forecast is for the middle of next week onwards. It's going to be about 16 degrees with a certain amount of rain. So I would think that would be good conditions for it.
Is it attractive to any particular pollinators, chervil?
Now you're asking. Well, let's have a look. It does, I believe, have really nice flowers which attract bees. But I haven't ever seen it grow, so I can't tell you. But actually, we don't particularly want it to flower. Because it's one of the herbs that once it's bolted into flower, it's not so much use for the leaves, and it will bolt most easily in a sunny situation and thrive as a herb best